Good afternoon, Joe here over at WoolieCottage, and welcome back. It's been a while, hasn't it? It's been a while. Bits of news. If you don't follow me over on Instagram, some bits and pieces I could probably catch you up with. A little bit of a chat with you guys. This is, again, if you don't follow me over on Instagram when I do my live chats on a Saturday, I'll catch you up with the news about Wool Fair up in Edinburgh and how it went. So, and some other things that are happening later on in this month might be useful. It's Will jumping out the box over there. Might be some details that you might be interested in. So I'm just thought I'll have a little play. I've just got me finally replacing the old knackered Carder and got a shiny new one. Look, I can nearly see myself through it. It's not always a good thing. Anyway, so I'm just going to blend up this. I never got round. I was doing blending on Saturday on my live chat over on Instagram, and I never got round to finishing off the rest of the wool that I had put to one side. So I've got some hand-dyed, just set this back to 0. Feels like doing it. Hand-dyed merino bamboo. It's got lots of colours in it. It's got like a deep indigo, and it's got blue in there and turquoise and teal. So I thought I'll pop that in my box. And I've got some gorgeous dark blue merino, so I'll add some of this in there. A little bit way different, because the other ones that I did the other day, they were more leaning towards the green and then the purple. Good afternoon, Carol. So I'll pop that in there. I think I might add a little bit more, and I think I might go down the more tealy sort of route with this one. So as I say, I've got bits of news. So I thought, well, I'll get this carded up, because it's been a while since I've done a demo of my carding up my art bats on here anyway. So bear with me. You know what, I'll put you back a bit so you don't have to look at the parting in my head. We'll stick you over here and we'll twist you around so you can still see what I'm up to. I know, you're such a wombat, Joe. What else can I put in here? I'm thinking just to counteract, we'll go with the darker shades, because the bats that I did at the weekend are these two, and this one here was done with this merino bamboo. The other one up there, I can't even remember what I used with that now. It's written down in my book. It's written down, but there was some leftover wools that I had put to one side. So those are getting blended. Do you know, I went to the garden centre yesterday, and I swear I got attacked by loads of midges, and they've bit me all around on my tummy here, and I've got some bites on my back, and it's really itching me. So if you catch me scratching, I've not got fleas, I promise. I haven't got fleas. So I'm just going to take some of this teal, and usually my bats I do small ones. I do roughly about 100 gram ones, but generally most of the time my bats are about 150 grams up to nearly 200. Only because I'm always thinking of that project. You've never got enough wool, or you want to spin a chunkier yarn. So yeah, I always go for the larger ones. I used to, when I had my standard drum carder, my smaller one, I used to do 2 bats and put them both together as one listings. So I'd end up with about, I don't know, average about 200 to maybe 240. On my art bats. All your spinning stuff is in storage until your property's purchase completes. You're missing your spinners so much. Where's my shop, and do you have a website? Yes, I do. And actually, if you want, I do 3D Turkish spindles. If you fancy having something to spin while you're here, I'll just show you. I do print off. I've got that size, got a dinky one, and there's another one up here. This is mine. But if you're really missing your spinning, all right, usually if I'm presuming you're going to be over in America by the way that your property purchase completes, the way that you mentioned it, but I'm in the UK and I do post overseas. I've actually just sent an order out yesterday to a customer who usually is based in Europe, but she's out in Qatar. She's like, Joe, can you please tell me that you could post out to Qatar? I went, oh, I don't know. Give me a minute, well, I'll go and find out. And I did. So there's a big parcel behind me that's going there tomorrow. No, it went this morning, sorry. So yeah, I do 30 gram Turkish spindles. You're in the UK. Even quicker, Carol, even quicker. There, 3D printed Turkish spindles. This is a 30 gram, and this little dinky bugger here is 10 grams. And they're an absolute dream. I had so many people buying them when I was at the Edinburgh Festival, the Woolly Good Gathering in Edinburgh the other week there, because they'd never seen anything like it. You know, you can get the wooden ones and stuff like that. But these ones are a tenner each, the large ones, and the small 10-gram ones are £7. There you go. And if you drop me a message over on Instagram, I'll give you the newcomers discount code to use on the website as well if you want to. But these are perfect. These are so handy. You can just take them anywhere. But it's www.WoolieCottage, WoolieCottage, I've forgotten my own name, .com. The pink one's lovely. Do you ever get to go to shows? I apply to shows, and I have been applying to shows for 8 years. Obviously, we had COVID. I did go to the Will pop-up show in Merseyside, on the Wirral, sorry, not Merseyside, in 22. And I'm always applying to shows, and I very rarely get accepted. But I was invited to the Woolly Good Gathering in Edinburgh back in February, and I was there not the weekend gone, but the weekend before. So hopefully this is the rise of me actually getting to shows. But I haven't been accepted to any in England. I've applied to one over in the northeast, and applied to another one down in Yorkshire, and I didn't get accepted. But I have got another one in September, which is in Scotland, and I can't name who it is that I'm doing it with at the moment. They've asked all the vendors who've been accepted not to mention that we'll be there on social media until they actually release the ticket dates for sale. So I will be at a really big one later on at the end of the summer, beginning of autumn. But yeah, I'd love to be able to get to more. But where I live, I'm in Cumbria, on the west coast. I am 3 miles north of Whitehaven and about 12-15 miles south of Cockermouth. So it's really hard for us to get anywhere. It makes more sense for us to go to Scotland, because we've got to drive north to get out of Cumbria. It's a one-man bandit country. There's one road in, one road out. I know. But yeah, so it's quite hard for us to really get anywhere. And the cost of the vends of these places is ridiculous. It really is. The one I'm going to later on in the year for one day from 10 till 4 is over £200. So yeah, it's really expensive. I do apply, and there's not much else I can do once I've got that process done. It's all down to whether they actually want me there or not. I think I'm going to go with a dash of purple. Oh, controversial, Joe. Yeah, so you could go on the website. My WoolieCottage is pronounced how it's spelt on here. I have relatives up there, and I've been on holiday, so you know what I mean. Yeah, it is total one-man bandit country. There we go, 135, and I think I'm going to stick a little bit of twinkle in here. So go dark. Oh, I've got some trilobal. Yeah, it is very, very expensive. Though the one that I did in Edinburgh, luckily it was over 2 days, and it was only £175, and it's for a 6x6 stand, so a 6 metres by 6 metres stand, and it was £175 for the 2 days. You got allocated a table. I can't remember if I paid for the. No, I didn't pay for the table. And the other one I'm going to it's actually £230, the one I'm going to later on in the year, and that's for 1 day, whereas the one I've just done was £175 for 2 days for the exact same size stand. It is extortionate, to be fair, Carol, and I think a lot of people don't realise this when you're as a customer. You don't think about, oh, can you not go to this show, or can you apply to that show? Is the outlay cost that we've got to do, and we've got to take our own personal liability insurance and prove that we've got that, and we have to do our own risk assessment, which is easier said than done when you can't see the environment that you're going to be in. So it's really, it can be tough. I mean, when you get there and all the work that goes into it, that's so expensive for independent makers. Yeah, it is. Hiya, Liz. It is, love. It is really expensive. And I can tell you now, the Woolly Wales one, that starts at £235. That's for a small stand. And the larger your stand is, you're looking up way up of £400 to £500. So you're getting like Coastal Colours turning up and Adelaide Walker, and they're all turning up to these big stalls. They've paid at least £400 or £500 for those, Plus, they've got the liability insurance that they have to either renew or prove that they've got. Or, like me, I've had to renew mine this year, and I wasn't even going to bother renewing it because I thought I'm never going to get to anywhere. Yeah, you had an idea, Wonder Wool Wales, that sort of price. Yeah, and the Cockermouth Wool Festival up at used to be at the auction house. Theirs wasn't too bad. They were still quite pricey. The bigger your stand got, but if I wanted a 6 foot like pasting table size, they'd pop you up against the wall, and they were only going to charge you £70 for that. You wouldn't actually have a stand. You would literally just have what I've got here and just stand next to my little thingy. And it's always cold inside. Deborah says yes. Actually, the summer haul wasn't cold. Yeah, it wasn't cold. I didn't have the heating on, but it wasn't cold, to be fair. I didn't need a cardigan on, that's for sure. Yeah, so getting to these events, we need, as an independent, we need our sales to generate the money to be able to pay for these actual events. You used to belong to a spinning group, and we were invited to attend the RHS Rosemore to demonstrate, and we got our table free. It might be worth looking around other places. Yeah, honestly, Buxton Wool Gathering, they're exactly the same, and they're more expensive. You've got the Kendal Wool Gathering, they're just as expensive. They're all very, very expensive. And the event organisers, I'm not sure what they have as their overcost, because they're not insuring us. We're insuring ourselves because we have to, otherwise we won't get in. But no, you will find, Carol, that throughout the board, if you're married to a guild, if you're with a guild, it's completely different, because they've invited you to go there for demonstration purposes. They're not going to charge you anything, because you're going to help attract more people, because you're going to have your own guild members that are going to want to come along and see you in action, sit and get a natter with you, and then go around and actually spend your pennies in the actual event. So you'll find, I've got my friend Sandra, she's going to the Black Isle Agricultural Show, and the stand that she would normally do is £500. 500 quid. So no, honestly, there's no way you can get into it cheaper unless you went to local craft shows, where you're going to get people selling crocheted cup mats and peg loom weaving, like objects already made, crocheted shawls, or 3D printed this, that and the other, or selling t-shirts that have been printed, or mugs that have been printed, photographers that have got their little stand, like the amateur photographers that want to sell their prints off. You're not going to get the right type of clientele at those. You need to really get into these trade fairs. I'm part of the online Weavers, Spinners and Dyers Guild. I'm a member of them because I don't have a local guild. Well, there is a guild, but it's on the other side of Keswick, near on the way to Penrith. And I don't drive, and my other half works, and I can't. It would take us an hour and a bit to get to the guild, for him to drop me off, to drive back an hour, for it to finish at lunchtime, for him to come and drive another hour to come back and get me. It's just no point in it. So I end up joining the online guild, which was just so much easier. Right, so we're doing this bit. But honestly, firstly, you need to get your application done, and for them to actually accept you. And I have found it so difficult over the years getting even acknowledgement, let alone actually getting my application through. I've had 2 this last year that have said, oh, we'll put you on the cancellation list. One was for the North East, and one was for the Glasgow School of Yarn. I applied to them, and they've put me on the cancellation list, and I've had to email them to say, look, I'm sorry, but I've been accepted to somewhere else, and I just won't have enough time between then and then to actually come to it. So, yeah, it's a really, really tough world. I've been doing this for 8 years this summer. As an independent business, selling what I do, as WoolieCottage about 6 years as an official name. But yeah, I've been doing this for nearly a decade, coming into a hobby and then a business and selling them. And I find it so hard. The worst bit is the applications, because I don't know how to big myself up. I'm not one of those people that can do that. You have to flounce yourself, you see. Online retail is a godsend for people like myself. Definitely look at my website. Oh, thank you. I did start out on Etsy, But when Etsy started charging a lot more money for their fees and expecting you to knock them out like Amazon, I was like, yeah, forget it. And then they started bringing in, they were talking about Google Ads, and I left well before that. I worked out money-wise in what they charge you in fees, your listing fee, and all the rest of it, VAT on top of that, and then the postage fees that they charge you, even though you're the one that's posting it out. I realised that really, at the end of the day, that amount of money could pay for my website, and it did. That's exactly what it's done. The amount of money they would charge me on actually putting products on Etsy platform, it makes more sense for me to just go down the route of a website, because then it's me that's in control, and I'm only getting charged for what I want added to my website list, like package. So yeah. It just takes one person to notice you and to contact you. And I was lucky that one of the organisers for the Willie Good Gathering was a spinner. You've heard about Etsy. It's an awful ongoing battle. It's got worse over the last few years. But a lot of people think that you can go on Etsy and people will find you. But after the first 3 months, you go down the page listings, so you need to drum in the traffic yourself. And I was doing all that, and I was getting the sales, and in the end, I was like, do you know what? If I'm having to do all this work, and you're taking all this money off me, I might as well just go and start my own website and sell from there, because I'm drumming up my own traffic anyway. I'm not doing all this work just so you can get more money off me. It's a bit double-sided, isn't it? A little bit. I don't think I'm doing that anymore. The whole point of me doing what I do is because I can't stand working for anybody else. I ain't got the patience for working for anybody else. So I was a chef in catering and hospitality for 20 odd years. So yeah, I'm not going down that path again. So yeah, no, if you're going to be your own boss, take it. I mean, Etsy's brilliant. Don't get me wrong. Etsy's good for getting noticed for at least the first year, 6 months. And you can see whether it's going to be worth your while. But you still need to get onto Facebook groups that are in your field, depending on what it is, like whether you're pottery or whatever, regardless of will, and getting onto those groups and everything else, and then sort of showing off what you do to start with, and then people asking you more about it, and then you can direct them to it. Or Facebook Marketplace was always a brilliant place to drag people over, because they'd message you afterwards, and then you'll say, right, I tell you what, you could do it here now and I can PayPal invoice you, or you could go buy directly from my shop on Etsy. And a lot of people will go and do that. And then they can actually see what else is on there as well. And that's more or less what I do now as well. I don't do it as much now on Facebook Marketplace, but I think once a fortnight, if I remember, I'll post up what I've just listed, because I list new items every Monday. But yeah, so it's a lot of work. It's a full-time job for not even 1990s wages. In 1991, I was on £3.17 an hour. So yeah, I'm not even earning that an hour. I had one lady from one of the groups, she's one of the admins, she goes, why do you bother doing it if you're not earning a living wage? So because there's no way you can earn a living wage from doing this sort of thing, because people out there, until they do it themselves, don't appreciate the amount of work that actually goes into it. So they'll say, oh, you're too expensive. I'm like, well, no, not really. Not once I've bought in all my supplies, and all right, I'm doing it from home, but I'm still raking up my electricity bill or my gas bill. I'm still having to go through the process of drying it, looking after it, processing it, thinking about it, looking for images that inspire me, doing custom orders. There's so much more that goes into it, so much more behind the scenes. And then when you're not actually working in the studio, you're on social media. So you've got all that to do when you're sat down on your backside in front of the fire thinking, oh, I'll sit here and do some knitting. And before you know it, you've got people messaging you, and it's 8:30 at night and you haven't seen 3 times you put that episode back and you still haven't seen it yet. And I can't turn my phone off, because a lot of my clientele, not just in the UK, but they're in Europe and they're in America and Canada and Australia. So sometimes they'll message me at what seems like normal times to them, but it's totally random. I'm just going to my bedtimes. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's like you've got to. If I'm asleep, I'm asleep. My phone goes on to sleep and I don't hear them, so they have to wait till the next day. but I'd like to think they'd know that I wasn't ignoring them. No, I understand. We used to own our own art galleries, and the amount of background work that work is amazing. Yeah, it's ages. I mean, on the weeks leading up to the Willie Good gathering, I was clocking in about 50 hours, 50, 60 hours. Because I was still having to put stuff on my website and list it, because then otherwise I would have been neglecting my customers. With the sort of double-edged sword of hope of please don't buy because I really need to build up my stock, and the other one of please buy it because I could really do with ordering some little bit of extra bits and pieces. And that's really what happened towards the last couple of weeks. Is I really needed there's a few more sales to tide me over. But yeah, you've got to love it. I mean, to be fair, I would rather be out in my garden, playing in the dirt and digging stuff up. Yeah, I would rather be doing that than stuck up here in the room doing this. But if I don't do this, then I can't contribute to the household income. Because that's my way of doing it. Because I just physically can't work for anybody else. I just can't do it. So yeah, and I love my customers, don't I, Liz? Victoria, almost missed you. You didn't, sweetie. I've only been on here for 20 minutes, so you've got at least another 40 minutes of me waffling away. So no, I love my customers, and I've made some of the most amazing friends over the last 8 years of being WoolieCottage. But it does take, sometimes it just takes the heart and soul out of doing the craft for yourself, because you daren't take out your stash. People say, oh, it must be like a kid in a sweet shop, all that wool that you've got. I'm like, yeah, but I can't touch it. You wouldn't have a sweet shop and then stand there and eat the stock, would you really? You've got to have a bit of restraint to the point that you can't actually, I put stuff aside for myself. Well, yeah, WoolieCottage is a part of my life. Yeah, we have natters. I have natters, and we put the world to rights in my little DMs on the back end of whether it's from the live chats or just randomly messaging, because I might not be seeing them on the timeline for a while. I'm like, still live? You all right? Or they'll message me and say, oh, look at this. The next thing you know, 3 hours later, and you're still nattering the messages. And I'm like that with quite a few of my, I say customers, but I mean, buy stuff from me, but it's more like my friends. But my friends I've never seen, which is always a little bit weird, but it's a bit like having a pen friend. Remember pen friends, ladies? Well, we used to have pen friends back in the 80s, didn't we? So I'm just going to plonk that on there. So I've put the hand-dyed wool on, by the way, if you hadn't noticed. I'm going to repeat this in a minute. Yeah, the hand-dyed wool's on there. And then I'm just putting on a really lovely dark blue merino. And I've got this tealy blue in a merino again. I'm just adding it with merino. It's a merino blend. It's a merino blend. And then I've got some dark, like plummy purple here, and I'm just going to paint that over the back. I'm not a massive fan of painting wools on the backs of drum carders, and the reason for that is because I find that when you go to spin it, you just found me on Facebook. Oh, well, on Facebook, well done. Yeah, there's another lady who spells her business the same, but she never started till 2 years ago, and she's a felter. Very, very similar spelling and pronunciations of hers. So I'm glad you found me. The reason I don't like painting the wool on the back of the drum carder so much is because I find that you end up with those big lumpy bits of fibre when you go to spin it. Oh. But once I do my little trick afterwards, when I take it off, then you don't notice it. I've got some hand-dyed trilobal here. So I'm going to add some of this onto there as well. Give it a little bit of sparkle. And I'm going to add in some of my recycled denim noil, my thrum, to give it a bit of tweedy. Sparkles and tweedy. not for everybody, but I don't care. I'm doing it because it looks nice. And it's not a lot of sparkle really at the end of the day. So how many bits of blue have I got here still? Oh, I'll stick this on before I put my next layer of hand dyed on. That really lovely dark navy blue merino on there. So I've just filmed, and I don't know, I just got the inspiration to do it. I've just filmed and uploaded a new Back to Basics season 2 video onto this channel. I thought we'd go down a different route just for a couple of months. Got the link to the website, so just open that up too. Yeah, leave that and bookmark it. Bookmark it. Bookmark it. Yeah, so I've season 2, I started the Back to Basic videos, I think around about the end of last summer, wasn't it? Maybe about the end of July, beginning of August. And we done all the beginnings of spinning on a spindle, using a Turkish spindle, going on a spinning wheel, and all the different parts and all the rest of it, and then the different types of plying, the Navajo and the singles and all the rest of it. And I thought, you know what, I fancy a bit of a change. So I'm dragging you down a different garden path, girls. And because the nicer weather's coming, it means I can go and hopefully, hiya Andiels. Joe, how are you? You're on your lunch break. You come and join me on your lunch break, love. I'm fine, sweetie. I was 49 yesterday. So she's still going on a high of, I'm not quite 50. I'm still in my 40s. Sort of realisation. Did you already go over your show? Did you kill it? The show, I sold half of my stuff, well, just under half of the stuff that I took with me. All in all, after fees, nearly 1,500. And then I spent, when I come back home, like fees wise, like transaction fees, everyone was paying by card. By the time I got back home and did a stock order, which was 450 quid's worth of wool. Yeah, 450 quid's worth of wool. And 2 cones of Pebble Island yarns, which should turn up in the next day or so, for the end of the thing that's coming, the collaboration that I've got going with Sandra for the end of this month. Happy birthday. Thank you very much, Anne. I think I did really, really well, considering it was my first time at a proper event. There was a lot of yarn spinners there. Yarn knitters. So there was a lot of yarn dyers there. There was a couple of breeders. Jameson's was there from Shetland, and I bought some wool from them and actually knitting something with it at the moment. But it's proper real Shetland wool, so it's slightly scratchy. And I've actually decided that I was going to knit a shawl with it. It's going to have to be an over-the-coat winter shawl because it's going to be really scratchy. It feels scratchy in my hands as well, but I'm hoping once it's all been knitted up, it'll actually soften down a little bit. So glad your bats are the best. Oh, thank you, Victoria. Yeah, I did really well. And because I've just had I had the weekend bank holiday. What was my best seller? To be fair, Deborah, I don't think I really had a bestseller as such. My hand-dyed drovings flew off the shelf. All my little blend sets, and I could probably have done taking more, and they were a last-minute grab off the shelf as well. But my blend yourself sets were quite popular because I had quite a few felters buying them, and I ended up having to charge them for needles and posting them out to them on the Monday after I got back because they asked me if I had needles. So I'm going to have to get a load of different size felted needles in to take with me. I'll have to order some hessian in and take some of my eco-friendly Stabbit Rabbit bags, the ones I stitch up but you guys just fill in when you get them. I'm going to have to make some of those up for taking with me for the other one. Honestly, I have got this major filter going on that I can't actually mention where it is that I'm going. There's only a few people that know what's happening later on in the year. Yeah, so those. My bats are sold. I took 125 of them with me and I came back with 70, which I don't think's too bad. And to be fair, I've only got about 30 odd left on there because I did the bank holiday sale, and then yesterday until 10 o'clock this morning I had a 20% off at Cart. So I've managed to pull that stock all the way down, which has been pretty cool. I sold 2, maybe 3 of my hand-dyed warps. I don't have any 30-gram Turkish spindles left, but I did sell quite a few of those, and I sold a couple of niddy noddies and a couple of the niddy noddies and spin set, Turkish spindle sets. I sold half of the tablet weaving cards that I took with me. I sold half of them. So I took a load of these. This one's probably a better one. So there are packs of 18. Well, some of them varied. So I had a couple of guild members buying these. So I've got these. So they're 18 tablets, and then I put 2 sizes of inkle. Well, they're actually Sammy designs. So based on the Sammy band weaving. So I put 2 of those little shuttles, one of each size in there. You love my spindles, thank you. I've only got little ones because I had, for the love of yarn up in Glasgow, she harassed me on the Saturday, asking if I would do warehouse prices for her. And I'm like, warehouse? What do you mean warehouse? Like, with a discount? I'm like, do you know what? I really don't feel comfortable with that sort of thing. But I ended up, and she said, oh, email me if I don't get in touch with you. And I always feel quite uncomfortable because though technically 3D printed items are not handcrafted, I've had to design them because somebody else has designed them, but I've adjusted them to fit me. So I've done extra layers, I've done extensions, I've made them bigger, I've adjusted the depth of things. So I've like tweaked with it. So it's now essentially my design. And then I've based those algorithms and those techniques and that coding on doing my 30-gram ones. So these to these. So she wanted the 30-gram ones. I'm like, well, look, if you want to buy them, I want you to keep them in the original packaging with a WoolieCottage sticker on the back of it with the instructions and stuff. And you could see in her face she wasn't that impressed about promoting my business. I'm like, well, that's how they're going to come to you. I mean, I can't stop you from taking them out the package when you get them, but I will be telling people that I'm the one that supplied you. Because I think that's only fair because it's me. And the amount of work that goes into them afterwards. I've got a bloody big scar there. Can you see my scar now? That's not too bad, actually. I've got a big lumpy scar from when I scalpelled myself, sorting out these flaming spindles the other week there. It needed stitches. And then a sanding down, so it takes a little while. Looks like you need some more Turkish spindles on your site. You need a small one. They're here, Carol. I haven't had a chance to get them on there. What have we got? We've got this one that is gold, teal and purple. We have got this one which is peach and pink, which is really, really pretty. This one is charcoal grey with black sparkles in. That one is a golden bronze, I call it the latte. So it sort of goes from one shade to another. Just drop me a message, Carol, and I will sort it out for you. And then there's this one which is actually blue and emerald green, so it's like two-toned. You've got this one here which is purple, light purple and like a rose gold really, and gold. This one's cute. This is pastel, mint and yellow. There's another one that's goldy coloured, and then the last one that's in here is a purple glitter. I respect sellers for that sort of thing, like you support the other sellers. Exactly. She seems to get a lot of her stock brought in. I mean, she's a yarn dyer, and she seems to get a lot of her stock from other suppliers. Love the rose gold one. Was it that one? That one. The gold and rose gold. I'll stick it to one side where we know where it is. I mean, I'm all for supporting other people, but if somebody's put the time in to make these things, and I have put on the stickers at the back that they were 3D printed and designed by WoolieCottage. So I can't tell her what to do when it goes into her own shop, but that was my requests. And I gave her 15% off 20 that she bought from me. So yeah, what can I say? I mean, it's 20, the money's better off in my pocket than anyone else's pocket. Do you ship to Belgium as well because you love the purple spindle? And have I not sent you stuff out before? Yeah, I do ship to Belgium. You should be able to. It should come up on the postage on the website. I've got a lady right in the one of the cities in Belgium. She's a felting designer, so I post out to her every couple of months. Absolutely love the small niddy noddies. Niddy noddies are brilliant. Yes, that's one. Can you put a logo on your spindles on the printing process? No, not at the moment. Not with the computer. I'm not that savvy on anything, but I have got a project going on at the moment, and it's resin spindles. Bear with me. I'm still at the journey stage, but I got silicone to make my own silicone molds, rubber moldings, for doing resin printing, for resin molds for doing drop spindles and hopefully Turkish spindles. But that's a project that's coming, and I'm playing with it. I've been doing it. I managed to do my first mold the other day there, but I did it slightly wrong because only Joe does that. But yeah, still in the experimental stage. But I have ordered some clear WoolieCottage logos, like on the decals, the plastic acrylic ones. So that's what my intention is, that they will go onto my spindles. But I'm hoping that when I do the resin ones, I can layer them inside the resin. Because for the last 3 summers, I've been drying flowers. And I've been experimenting, then it all got put on hold and everything else. I'm experimenting with resin for years, but then it all got put on hold and I didn't go any further. So I've ended up getting the stuff, because you know what, it costs so much money for somebody to make you a mould. Resin sparkly spindles that sound lovely. Yeah, so sparkly spindles, marble spindles, dried flowers in them. That sounds fascinating. I love watching people using resin on YouTube. Yeah, but they do all those big fancy pictures that you put on walls. I'm tinkering with tiddly fiddly little things. So yeah, so I'm making my own molds, which can be quite expensive to make. So I'm playing with that at the moment, and the design and the way that I need to put them. Because obviously with the Turkish spindle, it's quite hard. Yeah, I've been for the last 3 years. I've been drying flowers in my own my flower press, which I've been doing since I was a kid. So it's really quite hard when you've got to put a spindle in the resin poured over the top of your spindle, right? So you've got those bits, but you've got a hole that way, which would be all well and good, but you've got another hole going in this way, which is a bit of a nightmare. Could you do daisies in your spindles? Yeah, if I dried them out, that's what I've got to do, but I haven't got any daisies around where I am at the moment. But yeah, that sort of thing we'll be doing, or daisy petals. All depends on how small I can get them to fit in there. So yeah, so I've got to suss out, how am I going to get these together? So it may end up being, you're so industrious. I'm always up to something, Carol. I don't like to rest on my laurels, and because somebody else is now wanting to sell my 3D printed stuff, I need to now fast forward something that I've had in my brain for a while to figure out whether it can actually, is it possible to resin make these. I will check your website. Do you have the DIY, also have the DIY packages or the blend sets? Make it yourself. There are some on there, but I could quite happily make you up a couple. I'm hoping to put some new ones up next week from the wools that I've got over there that I dyed up the other day. Hold on, I'll show you. So some of these will be getting turned into, I don't do a lot of blend sets. I've got a couple up there at the moment, I think. And you'll find them, if you go onto the website, Anne, and underneath the where the Art Bat listing is, there's a Patreon account, or Patreon Art Bats and Blend Sets. That's generally where I do them every month, and they go with the Patreon bats that I sell, or after I've done the videos. And there's some blend sets still left on there if you can't find them anywhere in the shop. But these wools I'm blending up, and these ones will turn into half a bat, and the rest of it will go into a blend set. So I've got that one at the moment. Then there's the red going into dark navy blue, and then you've got this tealy colour. So these lot will be turning into blend sets, 4 of them probably. I don't do a lot of them. And what I ended up doing just before I went away was made a couple of sets up into Rolex to take with me to the fair. So there's that pretty one. That's 21 micron count merino. And that is as well. This one's really pretty. But this one's probably going all into a bat, but I'll see how I feel. So there'll be about 4 or 5 new sets of blend sets, do-it-yourself ones, on the website. You could always go over to Patreon. And I have been now and again just dropping in the videos for the Patreons that go with the art bats and blend sets that I post on the website. But you could go over there, and I'm doing all. Oh, they're pretty. They are really pretty. I don't know what was up with me last week, but this one is really, really sweet. Look at that. I got the most gorgeous orange dye last week, and that's what this is. It's called macaroni and cheese. And Liz, you know exactly what I'm on about. It's that flaming orange that I did on your order last week, and you're like, that's too orange. I'm like, oh yeah, you said yellow. But this is called macaroni, and it's like, you know when you get the Kraft packets of macaroni cheese, and it comes out, especially in Scotland, they love it up there, and it's this orangey coloured sauce. That's what that makes me think of. Hiya, Bridie. That's what that makes me think of. But that and that are from the same dye colour. But that's so pretty. That's a proper, real, lovely peachy colour. So yeah, all 5 of those will be getting dyed up. Blended up into bats for next week's, for this weekend, and bat sets as well. Make your own. Lol, she says. I don't. You know, I need to finish this off. I've been on here for 41 minutes, and it's never taken me this long to make a bat before. Where are we at? We're at this one. And then I'll have a quick natter with you what's coming up the end of this month. If you don't follow me over on Instagram, you won't be aware. So you may want to pop over onto the website and subscribe if you don't already for the next newsletter that's due out in the next week or so. Fingers crossed. I'm just waiting on Sandra to give me the heads up that she's ready. Yeah, I've got to just wait for Sandra to give me the heads up that she's ready to go, and then I can get it all sorted out, and then get the listings put on the shop. Oh, come on. Yeah, so what's in the plan in the making is a knit spin along, depending on what you want to do. So I've ordered in Pebble Isle, which is the Falkland wool, in a 4-ply for this new pattern. Sandra, I have some lovely bats from Joe and needs to be made into a Sandra design shawl. Well, you can buy the pattern alone from Sandra once we've done the collaboration. She'll be putting it on her Ravelry. And I will be doing, this is what I was just about to say then, I will be doing rovings. So when she did, and I'll show you in a second, this pattern. So at the end of the month, and it's been in the talks for a while, Sandra is a knitwear designer, and you can go and find her on Facebook. She's called Black Isle Woolens. Black Isle Woolens, and it's Sandra Sanderson is the lady, and she's an amazing knitwear designer. She's been designing her own things for American tourists and for the big fairs up in the Highlands for a good few years, for a long time. So she got in touch with me. Well, she found me via YouTube well before Christmas, and I tell you, we're like lost souls. We're very much alike. We get on like a house on fire. Hence, she was with me at the Edinburgh Wool Fair. So she's come up with, and said to me, do you fancy a collaboration? If I knit something, design something, you can sell the pattern with a collection of the yarns that it takes to make it, or the roving for them to make it from that to spin it up. And I'm like, yeah, I've been trying to do a proper collaboration with somebody for a while. So I'm all up for that. So she's come up with this pattern. I've got to get that on there yet as well. She's come up with this pattern. Do you know, I've completely lost my rhythm on this art bath. I'll have to bring it back in a minute. Because I'm 27. It's like being on the computer screen and the search engine. I've got 17 pages open and there's one that's on the blink. So while we're here, we're talking about it. So this is the design that Sandra came up with. Okay, now this is done out of just over 200 gram roving, and it was merino and silk blend that she did. Okay, I'll bring it forward a little bit. Okay, so it's 200, just over 200 grams of roving in a merino and silk blend. This pattern is exactly the same pattern that's behind me, but they've been done in two different styles. Is probably styles, techniques. No, this is a style. Anyway, I'll show you and you'll see what I mean in a minute. So it's been knitted in a kite shape. It's got chunky ribbon down the bottom, and then you go up in gradient cut, like you've got lines all the way through, and then along the edging is the cable all the way from the bottom to the top. Okay, and the roving this is my roving that she bought from me, and then she did this. So it's done in a colour gradient. So you've got the moss green at the bottom, and then it goes into this fawn, and then into the sandy colour, and then it goes into this burgundy all the way through the top. So it's called I'm sure she's called it by the lock. So it literally just flip around, and there we go. You need a brooch or something underneath it, but I'm just flinging it on because I've got my big cardi on as well. So anyway, there's that version. So I will be doing a blended roving. It will be a blended roving either of, I've got bamboo, merino and bamboo, merino and tencel, and I've got the merino, tussar silk and flax. That will be just a couple of quid more because it's dearer than the others that I've got for me to buy in. But with that, you'll get, for this pattern, as a hand spun roving, I'll be doing 250 grams, unless you want more, which we'll sort that out. But Sandra said that she only needed just over 200 grams. So I thought if I put 250 grams of hand-dyed wool with this, and you get the pattern I print out and post out to you. You don't have to print it out. There's no PDFs. There's no, oh, Joe, I've not got my pattern yet. It will come with your roving, okay? Fully printed, pictures. She's designed a lot of it. She's done it all. And there'll be 20 of them. Limited edition. I'll only have 20 patterns. So if I end up with 18 orders of roving for this in the hand spun, then I'll only literally have 2 left over for doing the knitting version. And then once I've sold out of all of those, then you'll have to go and find Sandra on Ravelry and buy the pattern from her directly. And then you can come to me and ask me if I can do the yarn for you. That's how we're working it out. And it's going to be a new seasonal thing until Sandra gets fed up with me. So we've got this one, By the Lock. And then in September, we've got Winter Berries. And then just before Christmas, around about November, December, there'll be a new one that we'll fling up there. And that'll be a hat, scarf and mitten set. But I think she's doing it so it can be unisex. So you can knit or spin it up for your other half. There you go. That was the last conversation I remember having about that. But once she watches this, I bet she changes her mind. So yeah, so that one was actually done with the hand spun wool. The other one that we did, which is the first one that she knitted while we were doing the design, oops, this works out at 330 grams of wool. There's, I think she says, just shy of 200 grams in the brown. See, now this, see how it has got the ridges, okay? It's creating that stripe. That's the exact same ridges that are on this hand spun. Do you see that? And then you've got the cable there. Oh, that way round. There's the cable knit there. Well, the cable knits on here. It's the exact same pattern. But when she messaged me about it, I says, right, well, why don't we go striping? Because she showed me the original version of it. I said, why don't we go striping? So what I did was I dyed her up 350 grams in pistachio, this light blue, which I think might have been baby blue eyes, and then this denim blue. Okay. So that's what I did. The brown, which is the colours that go in between and which is your actual edging, that was just shy of 200 grams. So we're going to, well, the little coloured ball, she said she only used about 30 grams or just over. So what I've done is I've worked out the numbers, and I got to wind up and measure out three 50-gram bats. Sandra, you've some lovely... Do you know, I'm still reading that. Need Sandra, a design Sandra thingy. Yeah, you'll get 3 colours. The creamy colour, well, the sandy colour, the mint colour, and the blues. Must have been, there's 4 in there. She said she only used 3. And then you'll get 200 grams of the main solid colour. Now, we'll be keeping to this original one. First, you've got 2 options. Keep to this original one, but I need to go and have a look. I'm thinking of doing the outer edging for the alternative version in dark blues, and then do for your lines in between, I'm thinking like grey heather and maybe a gorse yellow. I'm thinking more because it's in the Highlands. She's based it around Loch Ness. That's where she got the inspiration for it, like having a scarf on you near the water. You want it to be lightweight but enough to keep you warm, so that's why it's called By the Loch. So I want to try and keep in with that theme of colours. But if you guys could give me a heads up of a collection of colours that you think, that sounds lovely colours, Joe. That's what I was saying. I thought, well, if we go for a navy blue or that same blue that's there, and use that for around here, and then go for a light grey, a softer yellow, but not like an in-your-face yellow. But I'll come at that one, or even maybe lichen, and then go for a soft grey, because I'm thinking the granites, the heathers, all the stones and the mountains around, and then all the water. I think that might be a good option, and I'll message Sandra and see what she thinks. End of the day, she says it's down to me, but she's got an input as well. So that one will be a different price range on the website, and they will be both up there on the websites pretty soon, fingers crossed. So that's what I've been up to. Oh yeah, and I've just uploaded the first Back to Basics video. And I've just built this. This is what my video is. Look at that contraption. It looks like a toy wood and gone, but it's not, honestly. It nearly got tossed out the window because I couldn't figure out where the knot was for it. But it's a Dale loom. Dale's looms. Medium-size inkle loom. So we're going down that path, ladies. Just for a little while, because hopefully the good weather will be out soon. And if it's not, and Cumbria being Cumbria, then I can still do this up here on my table. But I've been wanting one of these for ages, and she said, this is my birthday present to myself. But it's a joint birthday present from all of you guys, because I took it out of WoolieCottage money. So thanks everybody. You just bought me my inkle loom, because I've been using my little inklet loom for many years. My Ashford one. You'd think I've never used it, but I have. It's in mint condition. So I've been using this for donkey's years. But I finally got a large one. I couldn't get an Ashford one in stock anywhere, so I ended up going to Dale's Looms. So that video of putting that together, if you've ever bought from him, is on there. A bit of a faff, but I got it in the end. And there's no instructions with it, which was even worse. Oh dear. So what we up to? I'll pop back over for another live chat with you next weekend, because I've just put a video up. You have that inklet. It looks massive. It can get up to 8 meters apparently, Deborah. 8 meter bandwidth. And I don't mean radios. Elizabeth says, I don't need any more crafting paths to go down, but you will enjoy watching and learning. Lady, listen to me. There's always a new one that you could do with learning. Honestly. Well, it won't be just inkle. We'll be getting the tablet cards out as well, and we'll be strapping them to our belts, strapping them to the island or your radiator, and we'll be doing a bit of card weaving without a frame. Who needs a lot of money? You can do it without them. But I'm going to start on that, and just about how it lash it and how to get it going. So I just thought a little bit of a different turn, just for a couple months. Give me a break from doing any type of spinning. say, give me a break from doing any spinning. Do you know, I haven't done any spinning for ages. I've fallen out of love with it a little bit, I think. I've just got so much going on. So I'll pop back over here for another little YouTube. Yes, I don't understand tablet weaving at all. Yeah, we'll soon get you down the rabbit hole, Liz, honestly. Even if I have to send you down a little kit and you can have a try yourself. Yeah, I'll be back next Wednesday for another little quick live chat. And then the following week it will be, because next week I will film the process of getting this warped up and what to do and what not to do. And who to go and find, who I would definitely advise, is go and look up Eloise Finchinfield. She's a reenactor. She's amazing. And in her Dropbox and her descriptions, there's a link to her blog. And she goes to all the Scandinavian archaeological sites and she helps with the research and figuring out how like these pieces of cloth that are left in burial grounds, and they'll figure out how the twists are done and how the S is done and how they got the pattern and the detail and everything else and break it all down. Me too, not we too. So yeah, she's actually been able to replicate these patterns for doing band weaving and tablet weaving. And you know what? It just makes a nice change. And you don't actually need it. If you've got the tablet cards, you can actually do it on your little looms. Your rigid heddle loom, just take your heddle off. You can adapt it to anything. She's great to watch, isn't she, Deborah? She's brilliant. She's an absolute star. And I've tried looking for all sorts of places years and years ago when I wanted to try it out before I even had a loom. And I used to just do it without anything, a couple of strands and some playing cards cut out and a freezer clip, a freezer bag clip. That's all I had before I even had any looms, a spinning wheel, or even a drop spindle. But no, she's brilliant. Go and look her up. Eloise Finchinfield. Or even if you put Eloise Finchinfield, you're not quite sure how to spell it, just put card weaving and she'll come up. But she's fantastic. Really, really great. She's an amazing font of knowledge. And she makes it look so easy. Because it is, really. You just got to know what it is, the basics of what you have to do. Anyway, that's me definitely off. I shall catch up with you next Wednesday. I'll get this video filmed up and go over to the website and subscribe to it if you don't already, and I will drop in a newsletter and announce the date of the release of these patterns. They'll come with their pattern, they'll come with their wool in a kit. It will be a bit pre-order. There may be a day or two delay before, just in case I have to dye anything up because somebody said I really don't like those colours, can you do something else? Because I always get that. Can't please everybody. I haven't decided what colours we're going to go with those. I might have a chat about that on Saturday on Instagram, on my live chat then, and we'll discuss what colours to go with for those. Then obviously Victoria, I've announced, if you go over to Instagram from Saturday and go and have a look about my thoughts for the Tour de Fleece, I'm thinking of going with 60s, 70s, 80s and 90s advertisement posters for Tour de France. So I put them up the other day there. They're on my live chat from Saturday if you want to pop over and do that. So that will be going on the shop. I need to just find out what the date is for that and get that all ready in June. Okay, so that'll be going up listings as well soon enough because that's a pre-order. And definitely go in now. 58 minutes. You like the poster idea. Those colours are really quite nice and universal. You're in. You asked about it and I actually gave you a mention up in it the other day there on my Instagram. So if your ears were burning on Saturday, honestly, I wasn't slating you. It was you that reminded me we've got Tour de Fleece coming soon. Right, off ski. Bye ski. See you soon ski. Bye.